Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Sunland Park City Council. Today is February 3rd, 2026. It is 5:41 p.m. This session is now in order. If I can have a roll call, please.
Councilor Sandoval, present. Councilor Armando Mata,
Present.
Councilor Roberta Salmon, Councilor Enrique Fernillo,
Present.
Councilor María Burciaga, present. Councilor Raúl Telles,
Present. All right, we do have a board. We can please rise for the pledge. Councilor Iman.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
And then just a reminder for all of you, the microphones, when you speak. At this time, if there's any item on the agenda with which the council or staff has a conflict of interest, you have the opportunity to express it. Seeing and hearing none. Let the record show that the city council also had a closed session meeting here at the sport complex. As posted, only those items on the agenda were discussed and no decision was made in closed session. We go on to approval of the agenda. I believe we have a couple of requests.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. We are asking that the items for zoning and development agreement both be removed from the agenda. Unfortunately, Mayor, that decision was made on Friday after we had no way to notify the public that we're removing those due to the complexity of the items.
Why are they being removed?
Okay, hold on. Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, so the zoning and the development agreements are being removed from the agenda due to legal complexity of those two items. Unfortunately, after we discussed it with council on Friday, the placement had already been made and we cannot cancel after the placement.
Now, this is also by request of the petitioner, is that correct?
In discussion with legal counsel.
Okay. Any objection by the council on that?
No.
But there are no objection. Any other changes to the agenda? 8 and 9 are going to be part of your agenda. 8 and 9. Hearing no further changes to the agenda, at this moment, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda order with items 8 and 9 removed. Motion to approve.
Item 8 and 9.
Motion on the floor of Councilor Jaramillo. Is there a second? Second. Motion has been seconded by Councilor Davis. Any further discussion by council? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Abstentions. Motion carries unanimously. The agenda order has been approved and that items 8 and 9 have been removed. All right, we go to public comment. There's 30 minutes for public comment. 3 minutes will apply for speaker. I have Christine Rayworth.
Yes. My first question is, when will we have a chance?
Stick into the mic. Then please state your name.
I'm Christine Reimers. My first question is, when will we have the chance to talk about development and zoning? Since we're all here for that, that is a good question. Mr. Mayor and City Councilors, when I look at the proposed zoning and development plans, legal or illegal, I don't see a happy future for Sunland Park or Santa Teresa residents. What I see is Houston. When driving through Houston, you go past dense development after development with occasional mega malls. Everyone drives all the time to get anywhere. You have the opportunity to do this differently. I urge council to step back and give this plan their due diligence. At the last meeting, questions were raised about issues that we still have no clarity on. What are the traffic impacts with 15 to 20,000 new cars on our already crowded roads? Health and environment, who will ensure that pollution from the old golf course has been fully abated? Where are the green spaces needed for children's health and recreation? Where's the grocery store for these families? Are they all going to drive to Texas for groceries like we do now? What is the water availability and sustainability for over 5,000 new families? Are schools in Sunland Park ready for this population boom? I have been pleased to hear members of council express concerns about transparency of this process. We had hoped that in the interests of transparent governance, the city public works director would act as a gatekeeper for development, ensuring that planning and development are of great integrity and in the interests of all residents. But in these meetings, Mr. Rangel has sounded like a lobbyist for the developer. He has argued that clear errors in the process do not exist. He has defended the developers when the records showed missed deadlines. He has papered over gaps and changes among versions of the proposal documents. On December 16th, Mr. Hagan showed the DL1 zoning map from Doña Ana County, arguing that without the new zoning, a trailer park could be built on the golf course. This is nonsense. If the land was annexed legally, which is in question, Doña Ana zoning has no relevance. The threat of trailer parks in order to get the more densely packed houses the developers want is bogus. And yet, on January 7th, Mr. Rangel, representing the city, repeated that claim using the same maps. Isn't this a strange lobbying process by the Public Works Director? I was pleased in previous meetings to hear councilors talk about being fair to the property rights of all owners. We who bought into the original golf course community saw our property values plummet by 50% thanks to the decision by Greg Collins to destroy the golf course. Now, with dense housing proposed right up to our back doorsteps, we will take a second hit in our property values. This value is being taken from us for the second time and placed into the pockets of Mr. Collins and his band of developers. Can you please tell us how this possibly could be fair to property owners of Santa Teresa? I want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your question on December 16th about the council's powers to restrict development if zoning is approved. Sure, it is still unclear to us what uses will be permitted in the new zoning, as well as what the setbacks will be for all new buildings or what they will look like. We who are most affected ask you to schedule and widely publicize workshops and town halls where all residents can see and fully discuss a detailed proposal. Please delay voting on development agreements until we see a clear master plan from the developers. We count on your commitment to due diligence and transparency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Todd. Great job. Terry Todd.
Mayor, I report of Councilor Limon.
Honorable Mayor, councilors, respected staff. Excuse me, my name is Terry Todd and I've been a proud homeowner of Santa Teresa for 23 years. When I purchased my home on the second green at the Yucca Golf Course, I believed I was investing in a community built on thoughtful planning, open space, and long-term vision. Today, however, I find myself living on the second weed. And that decline is not just cosmetic. It reflects deeper issues in how our community is being managed and how future development is being proposed. You were elected to represent this area and to safeguard its future. The decisions you make today will determine whether Santa Teresa and Sunland Park become a statewide model for innovation and cross-border commerce, or whether we settle for a short-term project that fails to move the needle and undermines the character of our community. Let me address the proposed rezoning. Under the RCPUD zoning being requested, the minimum setbacks would allow homes to be built 20 feet from existing homeowners' back property lines, only 10 feet between the sidelines of new homes, townhomes with as little as 5 feet between sidelines, commercial buildings just 15 feet from existing property lines with 5 feet side setbacks. There is nothing medium density about this. Those numbers reflect high impact, high density development. When many of us purchased our homes, we bought into a low density community, averaging roughly 3 homes per acre. The proposal before you now would increase that to 5 homes per acre. average. A dramatic shift that will inevitably affect property values, quality of life, and the expectations we relied on when we invested here in good faith more than 2 decades ago. Beyond zoning, I must raise a serious concern about Santa Teresa Community Services, the LLC owned by Greg Collins. Since taking over in 2013, the company has failed to provide even the most basic services reliably. Garbage collection, lighting, road maintenance, and security. The mismanagement is not just disappointing, it is a travesty for the residents who depend on these essential services.
30 seconds.
So I ask you, is this truly the developer that Sunland Park wants to rely on for future development? If the company cannot effectively manage the responsibility it already has, how can we trust it with even bigger authority, density, and impact to our community? We all deserve responsible planning, transparent leadership, and development that enhances, not erodes, the value and character of our neighborhoods.
Thank you, Ms. Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Butler. Tom Trevor. David Parsons.
I'm David Parsons. I bought my house 25 years ago to live on a golf course, to play golf. I love golf. I met Greg Collins, the con man that wants to sell you his land. He promised me, I am in for the duration. The duration lasted 10 years. Now there's no golf course. Yeah, I'm retired now. No golf course. If you want to invest, Sunland Park, invest in a golf course, not in homes. Don't destroy my home and my way of life because you want to make money. Do not give Greg Collins a penny for the land that he is selling. He's a con man, a scammer. Do not give him money. I don't want a house 10 feet from my house. I've moved up there to walk out and play golf when I came home from work. Now I'm retired. Do I get to play golf? No, I don't, because of Greg Collins. Do not buy anything from Greg Collins. Do not invest in that area. Then look at all the land that you have around here. You want to expand right here. Expand across the street from McNutt. Do not destroy my way of life by putting a house 10 feet from my house. Please, I beg you, all of you, do not vote to build homes, put mobile home parks there. Do not. My life's already destroyed. I don't get to play golf anymore. My plan has been destroyed. I invested thousands of dollars for attorney's fees to fight Sunland Park to not annex me. But that's still in question. Thousands of dollars wasted. Do not invest with Greg Collins. He's a scammer and he's a liar. Do not build a house 10 feet from my house. I beg you.
Gabriel Douglas.
I'm Tom Brevard. I couldn't understand what you said.
I'm sorry?
I'm Tom Brevard.
Okay,
I couldn't understand what you said, so,
go ahead, sir.
I guess I don't understand. Can I ask you guys questions?
This is, you can only address the board, but there's no feedback going back and forth at this time. Now, I remind you, we're not going to address items 8 and 9 at this meeting at all. So further, we're not addressing item 9 at all.
What you need to do is buy a good system so people can hear what you're saying and understand. I just,
Can I state your comment?
one of the things I want to say is, I moved here in 2010. And I moved here and bought that house because of the golf course. No other reason. I didn't even like the house, but it was right on the golf course. That's one thing. But I hear a lot about, geez, they're building all kinds of houses up there. They're gonna have well, they're already built, and there's gonna be thousands of people living up here. There's gonna be, some big, I don't know what they call it, but I'll call it AI, a building up here, thousands of people. One of these investors that just wanna try and finagle some way of getting the golf course, why don't they invest their money in a golf course, a steakhouse, maybe a convenience store, and something like that, instead of forcing something like this down everybody's back, neck. No one on 131 Feathermoon wants this thing. Does that mean anything at all, TJ? Who is, this Mrs. Collins, is that the guy that caused that place to be a desert up there? Is that his sister, as I understand?
Yes,
it?
it is.
Yeah,
His sister.
so you can see what's going on there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I guess, the other thing, I don't know if you know it, or if this even makes any difference to anybody, I know it does to the people here, but every year, that golf course raises about 10 million tumbleweeds. Every one of those tumbleweeds blow in our direction, and they all get caught up in the fence. So either we have to go out there and dig them out, take them someplace and burn them, or if that ever caught on fire, that whole Feather Moon area there would be gone, but nobody seems to care. Okay, so my question is, can,
30 seconds.
what,
30 seconds.
left or I'm done?
That's what you have left. 30 seconds.
Well, anyway, I just want to say, why do you guys want that so bad? Is it that valuable or what is, do you have any feeling for the people living up there at all?
Exactly.
Just, you don't need it that bad. Just think about it. My God, you annexed half the country now. You sure don't need it anymore. I came from Montana. Could you go up there and annex country up there too?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Gabriel Banderas? Okay. Anybody who wishes to address the council did not sign up? You can just form a line for me here and just we can move up a little bit faster. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Raymond Brothers. I was here in December and January. I just had one comment. The easement. Brought that up on December, brought that in January. You took my name, information, and you're gonna do something about the easement. We have an easement. All the people that have golf course views all have an easement down below. The easement was for their golf carts to go through. There's a golf cart lane for the Santa Teresa owners to go through. But there's no longer going to be a golf course. So I would like that easement removed because it's about 5,000 square feet of my property is the easement. And so I don't know why we still have an easement. They said there's not going to be a golf course. There's no reason for it. And under the easement, I can't build any kind of permanent structure on that piece of land that is mine. So I would like that removed, and it can't be used as a road anyway. The golf cart that is there, a lot of owners did not take care of their land. There's trees growing up in some of the people's land. Some people did, and it looks good. You can still use it as a road, but a large percentage of them, you can't. There's trees already growing and things like that already growing up in their easement part. So I'd like that removed. I don't understand why there's still one, because I'd like to build a fence, permanent structure, fence there, a wall. So that's what I call it. Yeah, talk about anything else. That's my.
My name's Rick Miller. I live on Featherman Drive in Santa Teresa, bought my house 40 years ago. If the councilors could all just turn around and look outside, that's the view from my back porch. But I get to also see that distinctive mountain story. Approving that zoning approval will destroy that vision. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody online? All right. Thank you all. Now we're done with public comment here. We'll go remarks to the city council. Sunland.
Yes, Mayor, we have some comments. First of all, I want to thank, the city staff for their hard work on cleaning up the streets and moving the sand from the one, keeping our community, safe. I want to thank, the city staff for that. I also would like to share that, Sheriff Kim Stewart will be, hosting a community meeting on February 5 here at the multi-gem. Everyone is invited to attend. VACC. Thank you, Ms. Vito. And that leads me to my next comment. Thank you, Ms. Vito, for being a community advocate from the Riverside community and for your continued dedication and hands-on on the involvement of the city. Thank you so much. That's all you.
Councilor Salmon.
No, sir, I don't have anything to say that at the moment.
Councilor Davis.
Sir, I'd like to acknowledge, Mr. Infante's work over the course of, our pothole situation this past weekend. He quickly mobilized city staff to address some of the potholes to avoid possible court claims. I know it's not a call that you're trying to receive on a Sunday morning, but unfortunately they got the call, they answered, they went out, and they patched up. It's just the nature of the game, and it's appreciated by several members of my community and across the city as well. So there's a lot of things that we can say and point and focus on negativity, but then we also have to come to terms and say there's also positive things that are happening in the city. It might not all agree on the way forward, but there's quite a bit of positive things that are happening and that will continue to happen as well as time progresses. So again, thank you to the staff.
Thank you, Councilor. And we're jump over to presentations. Item number 1, New Mexico State Climate Office.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, and thank you, Mayor, and members of the council. Today we have our state climatologist joining us from New Mexico State University. I recently met Dr. DeWatt. He's an impressive man. And today he'll make a presentation, telling a little bit about himself. I would encourage this council to ask questions. One of the reasons that I wanted to bring his expertise in, we have right now a public comment period for the air quality permit that's been submitted for Project Jupiter. I can tell you a high confidence, I'm not qualified to review that air quality report. And so Dr. DeWatt is someone that I'm looking to bring in as an expert to do that on behalf of the city. And I also want to thank our deputy city manager who was able to arrange the meeting. Dr. DeWatt.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the city council. I just want to give a real brief kind of qualifications on the slide deck here. If you go to the next slide, it can just kind of talking about my office, kind of what we do. And I'm the director of the State Climate Office. My office is in Las Cruces at NMSU. I've been here for 16 years. Been in the field for about 30 years. I got my master's at NMSU, so I'm familiar with the area, and I've been member of the Joint Advisory Committee, which kind of is our regional kind of our protection of air quality, climate for this area, Texas, New Mexico, and Sierra Juarez. And I've what I was asked to kind of talk about is just to help kind of translate some of the technical things about the permit, about the Project Jupiter. I'm very familiar with air pollution. I teach it at NMSU.
And I used to work at the Air Quality Bureau in Santa Fe for a short time. And then I was part of reviewing power plants when I worked there, the Deming energy facility, as well as some of the coal-fired power plants in the Four Corners. So I'm very familiar with the technology of what they're using, their proposal for the Jupiter project, which is it is out there on the NMED Air Quality Bureau website. It's a 200+ page air quality permit for both east and west. That's online right now. And what I was asked to do is kind of help translate that information. So what does it all mean? And what are the potential impacts? I think maybe one more slide, I think. Oh, just kind of going over what we do. I operate a statewide network. We do research. I teach as well as mentor one of my students here, Nathalia, who took my class. And we do a lot of outreach over. What I do is I like to translate technical things and make it understandable. I always think about if I was talking to my mom, how would I translate that information so that she would understand? She's our teacher. So next slide, I think so that's kind of what I can help with, is sort of use me as a resource. And I'm familiar with air quality in this area as part of the Joint Advisory Committee. To provide the basis of what is going on with the air quality here, what's the status. Things like ozone and particulate matter are a concern to me when you're dealing with a big facility like the Jupiter project. If you need any education, you know that I can easily do that. We're very briefly, and then I can review information on the permit as it comes out. I don't work there anymore at the bureau, so I would be a member of the public, but I can do a public information request, and I've got friends who can help make that happen. I can't make anything more than what you can as a member of the public, but I can help translate it. And then I can provide expert opinions on the impacts, which I've done that air quality for the last 20+ years. So I'm here to help in terms of, thanks. There's my contact information. And you guys know how to get a hold of me. And, if you have any questions about what's going on, I briefly looked at the permit, which is on the website now. It just kind of real cursory information on it, on how large this is. It's one of the biggest ones that I've seen. But it's the trend of data centers across the world is to build this scale worldwide. I've on YouTube, there's a lot of discussion about these in Southeast Asia, and they're building them in the US at this scale. They're not there yet, they're smaller, but their plans are to get these gigawatt power big data centers like this one here that's proposed. So it's not something new, it's coming this way, and we need to understand it, and how do we actually live in a space that's in the same as this, I think those are kind of the bottom line questions that I may not have answers to everything, but I can kind of lay out in front of me, this is what I know, and then, we can help. I can ask questions from our community to help with answering questions. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. DeWatt. So, members of the council, there's a couple of areas where we see his expertise. I will be moving forward with issuing a purchase order, working with Dr. Hill and his department to provide an expert opinion on the current air quality report that's been published for public comment on behalf of the city. So expect that to come back to council with a presentation of those findings. The second item that he touched on, and as you're aware, we are we're at the tail end of settling the Colorado, New Mexico, Texas Water Compact. There will be, as part of the settlement, a reduction of 18,000 acre-feet of water per year. I proudly announce the city of Sunland Park will have its first sustainable design water quality flood control facility here in this area, just north of us. It's a design that manages stormwater, provides an innovative approach into groundwater recharge. And so one of the areas that Dr. DeWatt also focuses on is in that very specific area to the sustainability, right? And so we just see a lot of value in partnering with the university as an extension of as I view it, as an extension of the city's Sunland Park staff. So I would anticipate in the future hopefully we'll see Dr. DeWall down here for other tasks, but I will be moving forward with the air quality. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask now. Otherwise, Dr. DeWall, really appreciate you taking the time, sir.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Any questions for the council?
Actually, I have a couple.
For Dr. Dickens?
You gonna be incorporating the students as well for MSU to come down and
Yes, that's one of our core things we do. I got my first student right here who's very interested in the project, and yes, she's an environmental science undergraduate.
outstanding. Looking forward to this. Reason I'm asking is because we spent a couple nights, my daughter recently started playing soccer down here. The fields, that seems like the overcast, as we're downwind of the industrial area, is either it's a stench that comes down. And it's been reported several times by several residents throughout the city. Some people say it's the dump. Some people say it's the industrial park. But I guess we're gonna get the results based on those tests and see what we can isolate where those smells are coming from. So I would hate to be down here, downwind, breathing an unknown chemical maybe, or substance, and then we feel the repercussions later on down the road when we're growing a third arm or what have you. So I guess we're getting ahead of the game on this one. Looking forward to your project.
Yep.
Now, a question of mine, I guess there's a timeliness issue. How quick can we see something, how quickly can we see a report of this, or an analysis of this, permit request?
Good question. So we'll issue a requisition request on the time and materials. That's the easiest way for us to do that. Essentially, time and materials means that we'll be able to pay for professional services for their associated labor time. And any mileage or travel and things like that, we'll open a PO with that. Otherwise, and through that, Mayor, we would have a PO issue a week from this Friday.
Okay.
So not the Friday of this week, but a week from that, we'll issue that PO and Dr. DeWall can get started. It's probably the best way to approach it anyway, because we do have some other areas, as I said, including, I have heard similarly, and we have discussed it at length. I think that for sake of time today, we won't discuss that, but there will be a future also initiative on can we start to air sample to determine what are the constituents in the air that are creating odors. And so that's a different topic from the project tutor on the current call for public comment, but it is something that we'll be also working with Dr. DeWall.
And one thing I wanted to add is, we're also at non-payment for PM10s. Will this have any effect on that? Or will it compound the issues that we have to deal with to address the PM10 issue? And if that can be included in the report, I think I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, yeah, it's PM10, PM2.5 and ozone. We're also in a ozone non-attainment area from the 2015 EPA designation. So all of those are on the radar in terms of concerns for human health, and especially with the coming spring with the winds. I mean, I hope we don't get this spring like we had last year. I mean, we've had some rain, which has helped the soil moisture, but they're doing construction out there right now. I was out there in December, and so they're blading out the desert. So that's a concern right now, right today.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions by the council? Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Item number 2, U.S. Small Business Administration Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council and residents of Sunland Park. Thanks so much for making the time for us. I'm here today to talk about the disaster recovery and resilience programs that we have available for residents of Doña Ana County. As you know, Doña Ana County had various disasters last year, and because of that, there are disaster loan programs available for small businesses and for nonprofit organizations. The terms are very favorable. For small businesses, it can be the rates can be as low as 4%. 30 years to pay back. The first year, businesses don't have to make a payment. And for nonprofits, the rates are even lower. We would like to promote these programs because we know that small businesses may have been affected economically, and this type of programs will help them get back on their feet. The rates and the terms are more favorable than what small businesses can find in the marketplace. And we are looking for the support of the city to be able to promote these programs. Any questions you have for me?
Any questions by the council? Yeah, it's everyone in Citizen Park could apply for this if they meet the qualifications. Is that correct?
Right. The small businesses have to show that they have been impacted economically by the disasters. So if there was a slowdown in sales or in revenue following the disaster period, then that would qualify them for the program.
Is there a specific disaster or is this just a natural disaster in general?
There were various disasters that occurred between June and August of 2025. So within that timeline, businesses have had to show that they had a slowdown after that time between June and August.
Okay. Any other questions? All right.
So, Mr. Mayor, just.
Great.
We are going to take this information. We're obviously going to work with them to ensure that we get this out in all the media outlets. And both Deputy City Manager and I have met with the SBA, and we'll continue to follow up with it. And really, it's about awareness, so that businesses are aware. And so I'll confident on communications coordinator to be able to aid us in ensuring that we get this opportunity out to folks so that they're aware about the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your support. Thank you. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Item number 3, Sunland Park Digital Liquor Press.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. We're really just thankful to have an IT director, which we approved a little over a year ago. This is the fruit of that labor, if you will. And so tonight we're going to be presenting a new direction in how we're handling ePro communications. Mr. Bulacan.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. That is correct. Well, one of the things that we're going to be doing is going digital on a lot of our things. One of them being our IPRA process. In the packet today, you have part of what I'm going to be showing you today as well. But with the IPRAs right now, currently, a resident has to go to City Hall, they have to fill out a document and they give it to the clerk. The clerk will turn around and do the IPRA, and then they will give you the documents either printed out, or if it's a body cam footage, they give you a CD. Currently, I personally would not know where to play a CD right now. So we are moving away from CDs and we are now doing only USBs. So now when you do an IPRA, the documents will be given to you in a USB in digital format. Or if you get a body cam, you also get a USB now to be able to do what you need to do with it. The USB is provided by the city. We would not accept a USB from anybody due to our network and security policies. We will provide all USBs to the residents. With that, we are going to be going digital. So we are going to highly recommend to residents do it online now. So they will have the ability, and I am sharing my screen and I'm going to show you exactly how it's going to work. So you can go to the city website, you go to the department, city clerk, you will have request information of public records or IPRA section. Once you click on that, it's going to bring you to a page. Currently, it does have a red banner and it's not live until tomorrow. But all you need to do is fill out this information, and this is the exact information you are filling out in the IPRA. So your name, today's date, your contact information, your mailing address, and we are going to be putting the email address in here because that's how we communicate to you. The deputy clerk or the clerk will communicate either by phone or by email to let you know that your IPRA's documents are ready to You also have the description to be able to put in whatever you need. There is no characters. You can write a full story in there on what you are requesting. We do in here include the information on what a IPRA should include. Because I can come into request an IPRA and I say, I want all the mayor's information. Well, what does that mean? We want to make sure they're as detailed as possible. I want all the mayor's emails, like we have to ask for information to get more details of getting them what they want. So we have included here the policy and terms. This is kind of just a very small snippet of the actual statute of the IPRA itself. And then it'll give you the fee schedule going on what is going to be approved today, the fee schedule of what you would be paying for the IPRAs. Now, there is a cost to the USB. Of course, we as a city are buying the USB, so we have to charge for that USB that we are giving to the resident. We don't expect the USB back, so that's why we're technically paying for the USB when we get the IPRA. We do have the information in here both in Spanish and English. And then the next thing you would just have to do is put your name. And this is technically just saying that you've read the IPRA policy and that you agree to be able to, that you're submitting this information. And again, all this information that you are submitting here is exactly what you are submitting in person on the form itself. With this information, this will go to the clerk. It'll be emailed to the clerk, the deputy clerk. And Mario will get a copy just to be able to make sure that there is no loss in information. If the deputy clerk is out, the clerk handles it from there on out. So there is multiple people receiving this IPRA to make sure that we are moving within the timeframes that we have to move to the statute. So this is pretty much the new way of going to requesting an IPRA. One of the other things we're going to be doing to be able to make it easier for residents to be able to access information is we're going to be putting the meeting minutes, and we're going to be, I mentioned this a couple meetings back, we're going to start streaming on YouTube as well. So we're going to be putting those on the website now. You can go directly to the website and ask for that and view that information without having to request the IPRA. So same thing if you go under departments, city clerk and agendas and meetings. We have a city council meetings, and then we have it by month. So if you click on January, you will see what meetings happened in January, which if you click on it, it'll give you the actual agenda itself. Or if you click on it, we're going to be putting the meeting minutes, the approved meeting minutes already. Once the clerk's office signs off on them, they'll be added to the website. So with speaking with the clerk, we do get a lot of IPRAs for just that information, the meeting minutes and the video recording of the meetings. So those are now going to be able to go on the site where you can just go and view them directly. This is a way of really just making everything digital to be able to make it easier for the residents to access the information that's already easy to access. We're just putting it on the website. Instead of having to submit the IPRA, you have it on the website. So stand in front of you for any questions.
Any questions by the council?
Regarding the records, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
how long are they kept on file? Is there a state statute that you keep both digital and physical copies on file? And to include emails?
10 years.
10 years?
Yes, that's a great question. And we should post that to remind me, and
We
we'll cite the.
we are gonna post on the IPRA. I don't know that part of the IPRA, but we're gonna post the IPRA actual statute.
Yeah, compliance guide. We'll go ahead and upload the compliance guide as well. So, and that will just save a lot of staff time. What we're wanting to do is this idea of transparency is one, right? But the other is information. People can get themselves well informed. Because as the IT director pointed out, a lot of time is spent back and forth when the EPA request is not clear. It's one to make sure that the public has every opportunity to get well informed before they submit the EPA.
Mr. Mercado, thank you for streamlining this process. It's been a long time in the making, but you're making a lot of legally progress on this.
I want to say thank you, but it's really to my assistant and my communications director that helped me out tremendously to be able to get all this done. So thank you to them as well.
Awesome. No, thank you across the board. Thank you.
Very next. Go ahead, Councilor. Thank you.
comment. It would be good, sometimes people do not know the language to be, able to get the proper information. It would be good if there would be some sort of guidance for them to be able to understand the process. Say, for example, if they do not have the, let's say, for example, if they do not have the report of the police because they lost it. If they could just, by the date or the time, more or less, in between a couple of days, something like that works really well. So putting in that language, I think that would be helpful for the people.
I'm thinking, thank you, Counselor. I'm thinking when I was listening to his comment, we might want to add, and by the way, this is going to continue. But maybe if frequently asked questions, we might think about in the future. I'm not saying we want to do this all up at once. Maybe we can do an update to council in 6 months and see how things are working, what's working well, what's not, areas for improvement. But, when I hear your comment, I'm thinking frequently asked questions could be one. It could be a YouTube that shows people how to navigate, right? So, and we always have to be mindful of our wide spectrum of citizens that we serve, right? I always think about that. From the ones that have been using iPhones at the age of 5 to our respected elders who, maybe only speak Spanish and still read the audio supplies. And so each one of them deserves the respect and communication that we can provide. And so we'll continue to work on that certain troubleshooting.
And in talking with my communications coordinator today, the website is going to be launched tomorrow, and it's already going to get more upgraded tomorrow already. So yes, as Mario said, this is a work in progress. If we get feedback, we're going to take it and be able to see how we can make the website better every day.
Mayor, if you may.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Rubalcaba. And that was my question. When will this be effective? And the second question, just so that residents could know, what are going to be the payment methods they could use?
So this will be effective tomorrow because there is a resolution today in the agenda. So if the schedule goes into effect, this would go with those schedules tomorrow technically. And the payment methods, that is with the clerk. I believe it's check, money order, cash, or credit card. So yeah, it's any type of payment method. The payment method would be done when you pick up your documents. So when you when they call you that your infra is ready, they'll hand you the USB, and that's where the payment method will be done.
Okay, thank you.
Well, there's not much more to say, but congratulations. I think that's a step in the right direction. I think without, IT people who know all the technicalities, the ins and outs, it would be very difficult to get accomplished. I appreciate that. And the work City Parks does. I know sometimes they get overburdened, or even not across the state with IFRA requests. And it can be such a burdensome task to do, but anything that is streamlined and improve the efficiency, we can actually, focus on improving other areas as well. So I want to thank everyone, the city clerk and your team, for getting this taken care of. Now, how I would love the data person to, if I could, if we could see how much time we actually save, or how many IFRAs we're processing. That I think that would be helpful to know as we make future investments into technology and other services.
With the 6 month report Mario has requested, I will definitely make sure we can get you some of those details, because within 6 months, we'll have enough data from online to kind of compare the next 6 months to the previous 6 months from the prison.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, from here we go on to the consent agenda. Items to the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted when motion was the council requested item discussed and voted on separately. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion to approve. I have a motion from the floor of the Councilor Days to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second. Motion has been seconded. Councilor Calamity. Let me have a roll call on Madam, please.
Councilor Sandoval. Councilor Armando Mata.
Aye.
Councilor Rita Salmon.
Aye.
Councilor Alberto Jaramillo.
Aye.
Councilor Maria Luciana. Aye. Councilor, Raúl Tellez.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries unanimously. The consent agenda has been approved. Item number 10, approval of variance 25-117, 5 carports encroaching setbacks for child care center at a site in Guerrero located at 390 Coast, East Park, New Mexico.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. So tonight we'll be presenting to you a case that has been presented to you in the past. It's been through planning and zoning a few times. And, it is back here again with with what we're hoping a final, remediation for both the applicant and the city of Sunland Parks, community development department. Next slide, please. This is the timeline, that we wanted to present to you since this case has been, going on for a while. And as you know, what led us to this was originally a code violation, due to encroachments on the property. This started back in July 8th of 2025, where code enforcement issued the first violation. Since then, the applicant, has been responsive, to an extent of coming in and trying to remedy the situation. On July, a variance was submitted and an application was received. And the September, third meeting, a motion failed, during the, request from the city council. Second variance application was received on September 16th. And November 10th, the case was heard in front of planning and zoning. And it was recommended with some conditions and an agreement from the applicant that during that time they would be able to secure a what we felt was safe for the city. It was a recommendation to secure an engineer report attesting that the structures were safe and sound for not just them, the children that are there, but also the neighboring or other members of the community. During those 90 days, a business registration was issued to be able to do that. That business did not have a business registration prior to that for a number of years. After or on about the completion of those 90 days, unfortunately, the applicant came and spoke with city staff and the manager and asked that we will not hold that condition. That we had previously requested to have an engineer report as it was something that exceeded the $5,000-6,000 range. At that point, the manager offered and both parties agreed that this will essentially, because we do not do vertical inspections, that the burden will be passed on to CID and for her to make arrangements if this was to be conditionally approved or approved. That the permits will be secured. Keep in mind that the reason why this case is here was originally for a zoning violation. The zoning violation led for us to find out that there was unpermitted structures, not one, not two, but 5 that were surrounding that were are not in, continue to remain unpermitted. That is our concern. Our concern is the zoning, which is the encroachments, but at the same time, the liability from this board and our department with any liability with those structures not being constructed in a safe manner and or per standards. At this point, staff continues to recommend denial because it does go against the variance. The conditions have changed because she had not received, she was not going to be able to get that engineer, those requirements or conditions. So therefore, we have recommended that she would just move forward if approved and have 90 days to have this structures permitted by CAD. If the 90 days that is not, those structures are not permitted or are able to be approved, that the curing will be the removal of the structures. That for a few reasons. Number one, we have to continue to carry liability with this structures. Number two, it's been since July since this has taken place. Lastly, what we like to add is that at that point, we would like to get, if indeed that those permits get completed, that they get submitted back to the city of Sunland Park within the agreed time with the city manager and staff. And we will then, come back and either present or accept this in condition with that. I did receive at 9 or 10:50 this morning, an engineering report that has one of the structures, not the five. It's what we have requested, but it will need to be with all of them. But again, at this point, because we are not going to do the vertical inspection, our recommendation is that if this committee, this board, is to approve this, that they continue with that agreement of the 90 days, to be able to cure the nuisance. With that, I stand before you for any questions.
Motion in the affirmative. Is that stated in the conditions?
If we can, we've been through this presentation. If you guys, we can go through the presentations. And these are the conditions. So the conditions are stated that, I cannot read from here, but. This is better.
It's number 6 in the packet, no?
Yeah, it's number 6. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
So if approved, the recommendation would be, no longer the engineering report, it would be approval from CID.
CID will require that information, so it's not an expense that they haven't done, and when something has been built, CID, and I'm going to speak a little bit out of turn here, CID will require that information. So we would prefer that they handle that case since they will have to issue their CFO or any other certificates stating that the structures are safe. The zoning will still be out of compliance.
But at this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve with conditions stipulated in the packet.
Motion to approve
Motion
with
to approve.
conditions.
So I have a motion on the floor by Councilor Davis to approve with conditions stipulated. The motion has been seconded by Councilor Salmon.
Yes, sir.
Discussion by the council on this matter.
Mr. Rangel, regarding the vertical inspections, what does that entail?
Vertical inspections, thank you. I've been using that term and I've been asked a few times today, so I'm sorry. Sometimes I guess I get too technical. So Mr. Mayor, Councilor Davis, what that entails is, inspections of footings, any, structural materials, welding, attachments, that encompasses, type of structure. In a house, it would be anything from a foundation to the placement of the rebar, the PS, the PSIs of the concrete, to the structure, which would be the separation of 2x4s, load bearing walls, roofing system, HVAC systems, plumbing, electrical. That's what a vertical inspection would be. These are structures right now that do not have those conditions, other than structural, which will include foundations and actually the actual structures to be evaluated.
And these structures that are in place right now, those are gonna be your basic sunshade canopies, or there's something more of a porch? Do we have pictures of it?
Yes, if we can go to the pictures. So they're not the ones that I believe, Mr. Mayor and Councilor Davis, that you believe that kind of similar to your area, there's a little bit more commercial grade, I would say.
There's a couple of pictures.
There's more, I think. There's a total of 5 structures, ranging from like that large lot to the mid one, or middle one.
And then not any connections, like electrical connections, is there more of a structure in place for shade?
It's for a benefit of this is a home daycare. They run a home daycare center from here. So the intent for this structure is where for vehicle protection, for them not to overheat or be very hot when the children will get in there, for the playground, and for other vehicles to be in the shade, so to provide shade.
Then the curing and the use includes what exactly by the,
Well, the ordinance is very straightforward, Councilor Vegas, and the curing is that no structure should be unsafe.
no further.
Do you have any interest of please?
The first time, and it's, that I have seen a picture of a footing from, a licensed engineer was today, it was from structure number 3. And that's the only one, and our engineer has not reviewed it, so I would tell you that I take the word of the engineer, we have not certified, that, that footing or that structure or that evaluation. It was just submitted today. So that's why I feel comfortable, saying, well, this is something that we can attest to. Typically, when this board asks for something like this, we present to you all a letter of concurrence from our on-call engineer attesting to the facts and the validity of the document. At this point, I'm the only one that has reviewed it. So I don't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I believe that this is not the only, well, this in particular has 5 structures. But I'm pretty sure throughout the city, there's many, maybe not with 5, at least 1 or 2 or 3, whatever numbers. But I know there's at least 400 people who are in compliance. This business has been hurting for months because of this issue. Why don't we set up ways of working? Well, no, never been into that. Why not generate amnesty for all these people? Instead of, we have already 400 homes or businesses altogether that are in compliance. And it's gonna take a lot of time and effort to bring them all into compliance. I believe that is just my opinion, that we should, in a way, create amnesty for them, for all these businesses, and set, or homes, and set fines for whomever. After the amnesty period, maybe a year or 6 months, to bring everything into compliance. Everybody to be compliant, or legally compliant, if that's a term. But I think that's better than doing all this for every single house, because I'm pretty sure that not only this homeowner, business owner, I'm pretty sure that when we bring another home or business to council, that person is gonna say, well, mi vecino también. And then that neighbor is gonna be my neighbor también, mi vecino también, and so on. It's gonna take a long time. So that's my take on this. I think that we should create an amnesty for this matter. There's a lot of businesses like this have been struggling for months already.
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Jaramillo, that actually has taken place. If you recall, when we were going through the ordinances that are, some of the ordinances that are on hold, this was one of those ordinances to go through that amnesty.
Well, before we continue that discussion, if you continue that look there, if I can focus more specific to this case, because then we're talking about policy decisions and that's a large discussion. So any other questions on this particular case?
With the setback itself, that's FD chimed in, say hypothetically this goes forward, it's approved. Any concerns by buyer? Because it's set back so close to the other properties surrounding, even though it's not a flammable, from what I understand. It's not a flammable facility or structure. Is there any concern?
I believe, Mr. Dennis Shane is online. I did talk to him before, coming down to this meeting, and he would reiterate, he did mention, and he's online, we'll get him online, but he spoke about radiant heat, transfer heat, and different things. This does touch other structures, but I'm willing to speak to that as soon as the expert. Thank you.
Do we have a moment?
Chief Phil, are you online?
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, sir.
Chief Chain, Fire Marshal's office. So my concern is, first off, just to reiterate, the fire code does not speak about setbacks or anything like that. That is related to city through community development. We don't have any control over that side of it because it's not covered within the fire code. Single family and multifamily dwellings are also not covered within the fire code itself. I can speak to the properties being, or the areas being close to one another. There is a possibility of radiant or conductive heat transferring from one to the other, or you can have convective heat, which is the heat currents that will basically go from the area to another area also. But specifically, we have no authority in the fire marshal's office related to setbacks. That is a city community development section.
Thank you, Chief.
And,
Before we continue.
oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Chief Shane, just as well, anybody else who's going to speak on this matter, raise your right hand for me, please. Ladies. You promise to tell the truth and a penalty of perjury. Thank you. All right, so everyone speaking on this matter is. Going back to.
Yes, but what I was gonna say regarding that, the zoning code, our concern is, you know, and we have explained that, before, as a matter of fact, I believe it's one of the conditions. The water, rain, you know, water. You wouldn't like for somebody to just dump that, so we cannot impose that on the neighbor. There was a neighbor that said, well, if they put a gutter or something, but that is between the two owners right now. The city needs to protect itself that, Mr. Councilor Jaramillo moves there in the future, he may not like that, right? So we need to make sure that we abide and we adhere simply to what the code is. And again, the issue here was the encroachment. The second issue is the unpermitted structures. The flooding issue, we don't consider that to be a flooding, but it's the watershed that is going to be coming to the other part, and it has been covered on those conditions.
Mayor, if I may, go ahead, Councilor. Thank you. Yeah, yes, I understand it, but I will be up to Alberto Jaramillo to decide if he wants to buy the property. Nobody's forcing that person to live in that, if he's gonna buy that home with that gutter. It's up to Alberto Jaramillo to decide. And that's just correct.
And Mr. Mayor, Councilor Jaramillo, the statement for that is that if approved, this board, this council will be approving that condition. And our responsibility is to prevent liability for this council. That is our responsibility. The decision is not from community development. That's why our response is no. Because that is our latitude. Our latitude is, these are the conditions, these are the ordinance, or this is the zoning code, and that's what we recommend. I will put this back again, because you are the governing body. You guys make that decision. We are making that recommendation in the best interest of safety and following the ordinance. Earlier when we spoke about how many of these structures, Councilor Davis knows that there's about at least 250 in this area. And we are creating that, but that creation, or part of that amnesty is to comply with those two requirements. She didn't want to do those, get a certification from an engineer or go through the permitting process. Those conditions do not apply. That amnesty will not apply because we cannot accept something that has potential liability.
Mayor? Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Victor, did you guys send CID to this property?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Jaramillo, we did not.
As far as I know, the city was supposed to have sent weeks or months ago, CID. And I know that it's not the first instance where I have to remember the city to send CID to a business. But then they send a letter to Sabes, you had to shut down your business. I told Mario one time, so is this the same case?
I'll respond to that. Counselor, you had called me, approximately 2 weeks ago and we spoke. And, specific to this particular case, I did visit, and I'm sorry, what's the applicant's name?
Ms. Guerrero?
Ms. Guerrero, I see.
Yes, sir.
So I did have her in the office. I also had the planning team there. So the conversation you and I had was, the city is, and I made it very clear, and I explained it to the city. The city only has authority in zoning, floodplain certification, fire marshal's office. The city staff can only enforce the ordinances, and therefore any variances to be granted, you guys, I will ensure that the team brings it to council, and the council has that authority to override and provide the variance. Once you get that approval from council, if you can get it, I said, then you will have to go to CID. Okay, and that's the conversation you and I had on the phone too, and I want to make sure we're being very clear. This is the exact same dialogue that I had with Ms. Guerrero. I never committed to her to send CID. There's a couple of reasons I can't do it. Number one, I don't have jurisdiction authority over CID. They're a state political entity, right? We do collaborate, and that is our view, but I have no jurisdictional authority. I cannot tell them what to do.
Maybe I can do it. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So there was, I just want to use an example real fast. I don't want to take much time. There was another business, Mario, that took about, I think, 3 years to resolve. Más o menos. So it was the same, tenía estructuras, 15 estructuras. And then the process was, he came to council and the manager's report, no action in this one. And you said that you're gonna send CID. So based on that, it's the same process. So based on that, I was waiting for CID, para ver el desenlace.
So that particular case you're referring to, Mr. Julio Reyes, if you recall, you had asked me to set up a meeting with CID. And I did. In fact, that meeting, if you did not attend in person, you can by phone, and I will process it. So that was at your request. And if you do request something like that, and I would extend the same courtesy to the council, I set up those meetings. And they're important, right? But again, even at that meeting, you were on the phone with the CID staff and you expressed your concerns and that state staff, again, they operate under their own rules and regulations, and they sent an inspector service. I did not send them. That's how that occurred. I just want to make sure we all just be cognizant of that, right? That we'll be cognizant of. So no, I did not send them, sir, but that was what happened in that particular.
I know you don't have the power to send, and that's a different, but the fact that the city requested, so why not the same with this business? We could have done it months ago.
Yes, and I'm happy to set up a meeting with them if you like. You have a similar situation with you and I can host now and go ahead again. By the way, that extended courtesy goes for all kinds of things.
Well, but I do want to express caution. I do want to express caution in these cases. The council should not engage with the applicants ahead of time, because we are sitting up here as judges. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. That's why I have to do the swearing in. That's why it's a public hearing, and we're impeding on people's property rights. This is a constitutional right that we're impeding on, and granting a variance does impede on the neighbor's rights. The individual that's asking for a variance, his rights. And when we sit as judges, we have to make a decision based on the evidence that's being presented. And when evidence is being presented, everyone has the evidence has to provide the opportunity of being cross-examined. So if we get evidence right now, the judges can ask for the cross-examination of that evidence, and people can counter that information. So I just express caution in having meetings in cases like this in advance of the hearing, because then we don't know what evidence the individual has been presented with, and whether there's a bias being built into the decision-making process.
Go ahead, Council.
Do we have a property owner here to give her an opportunity to speak?
Is the property agreement?
Yeah.
While the applicant is stepping forward, I also just want you as a council to just be fully aware that there's a recommendation. I completely agree with being citywide, and it's not isolated to City of Sunland Park, by the way. This is occurring across the nation. I sure when you guys travel, you see it in LA, you see it in Dallas. The point here is too that we also need to be mindful of the city resources that are going to be extended, right? So if we do want to go in a direction where we offer one public customer, we need to offer it to everybody, right? Like we really do. And I made a note, we're going to schedule a workshop on this amnesty because I want to make sure we can only vet it and we understand what that really entails. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor.
And just on that, I'm just gonna, manager and Mayor Perea, and for the understanding of everyone, that amnesty, it is currently on hold on those ordinances. So we have been working for this for a year. It's on hold right now. I don't know if we're gonna move forward or not. They've been placed on hold, but that was part of that amnesty. Part of that amnesty, I asked and encouraged that you provide us guidance, because if we're gonna do this, as the manager mentioned, to one, then it needs to be to all of them. And that's what we had the framework that we had done. With that, I'll step down.
I know Councilor Sandoval. Now, I'm step through the penalty for agreement.
Sí.
Councilor Sandoval.
Buenas tardes, Luis Guerrero. Le pedí pasar para el frente nada más para darle la oportunidad de que usted, si gusta comentar, tenga la oportunidad de comentar en esta item en específico.
Sí, porque cuando no pude pagar un ingeniero que me costaba $6,000 por esa carta, que vino a inspeccionar, pues no pude hacerlo. Pero conseguí otro ingeniero que me cobró un poco más barato, y aquí tengo la carta del ingeniero. Y tengo también los planos que me dio. Y es lo que está pidiendo el señor Rafael. Aquí está. Yo pido a ustedes, por favor, que consideren mi posición. Como anteriormente yo les dije, muchos de ustedes no conocen mi versión porque veo gente nueva, pero yo no puse estas sombras porque yo quería nomás. Simplemente fue por el hecho de la necesidad de los niños, para poder proteger a los niños del calor extremo, porque yo transporto niños y uso los vehículos para transportarlos a la escuela. En los juegos afuera, los niños se me quemaban con el plástico, con el resbaladero y muchas cosas, y pues no querían ellos ya estar afuera por eso, pero pues se necesita que los niños estén afuera. Ahora, esas sombras, yo nunca saqué permiso porque antes de la pandemia, yo vine a la ciudad porque yo quería empezar a hacer mis sombras, y me dijeron que para esas sombras no se necesitaba permiso. Y por eso yo empecé a hacerlas, y a través de los años yo las empecé a hacer, y ya esas son las sombras que yo alcancé a hacer, o sea, que prácticamente terminé con mi objetivo para poder proteger a los niños.
Gracias.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions by the council?
These permits, Mayor, that she mentioned that she has on this development.
I'm sorry.
Where did these permits come from? Where did she get her permits? She's got documents with her right now that she's ready to present to council.
Yes, they're not permits. It's just the document that I mentioned to you that I received today, that is for one structure out of the 5, that has an engineer report that I have not sent to our on-call engineers for review. That's why I'm not presenting that to you.
Do we have any complaints from the surrounding neighbors regarding those structures? And also, do we have a dollar amount for what she invested into that? The reason I'm asking is because was it last year, there was a can of worms that was opened up, and as you mentioned earlier, 400 violations, 200 structures in my area. This is gonna be a repetitive process. People invest thousands of dollars into it, and Sunland Park came in a little late in the game, because I remember growing up in El Paso, and sunshade canopies weren't something that just bloomed out of the blue last week. These ordinances been in place. There's neighbors to the left, neighbors to the right. Right, being cruises about 45 minutes ago. So jumping on with approving all sorts of ordinances beforehand. You have to do our due diligence, and I know we mentioned amnesty, but I think it falls under more the grandfather clause. If our residents are investing thousands of dollars into those structures, it's not causing a serious concern. We mentioned radiant temperatures. If I were to park my truck next to any property, that vehicle is gonna radiate, something along the lines of what Chief Sean was bringing out of that. Take these things into consideration, and we've got variances, that we can apply. At the same time, the ordinances that are in place moving forward, getting that building inspector into place that we nearly need, code enforcement going around, doing what they're supposed to be doing, capturing these pieces beforehand. And then the tracking mechanism that's incumbent with that. Well, I wanna put a sunshade canopy, for example.
Bring it back to.
So in the process of applying, or applying for an application applying for a permit rather, for structures such as these, there's a couple things that slip through the cracks. Things are gonna happen. They are gonna happen. We have to make sure we don't chastise people that are investing into their business. If it's gonna improve, gonna cause an improvement for the business model that they have. This case being daycares. When we start talking about daycares, we start talking about structures that are there to shield children from, potential sun rays. We could caveat a whole bunch of other stuff with that, with medical reasons, but again, I empathize with the process. I see the staff's direction. We just gotta make sure, that chastising doesn't take place. We gotta see it for what it is. Yes, are they in violation of the existing ordinances that are in place that were approved in December? Yes. But January, we turn a new lead right here. We start talking amnesties. I think this is something that needs to be brought forward to the community, because you're gonna have numerous other cases. Yeah, numerous other cases, and you bringing forth their investment to their properties. So we're focused on other properties in general,
We can bring it back to this particular topic.
And this particular topic, it goes back to, do we have complaints about the neighbors? Do we have a set dollar amount that she's invested into this piece right here?
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Reyes, there's no chastising. You can see the timeline. It's been since June. We have opened that. We have no ill intent to chastise or to hurt somebody's investments. It is an investment. And if the reason that we are saying that morally and ethically is because we are providing that opportunity. At the end of the day, we also have a commitment to the entire community, to this board, to be able to protect other residents and protect the integrity of what we're, our zoning regulations. That is our intent. Our intent is not to chastise. Our intent is to simply, you guys are the policymakers, we follow policy.
And also we can take it out of context too, because I don't think there's malicious intent on either side, either party.
Yeah.
Stepping in the due diligence.
Yes. Now, the amnesty issue is something that, like I said,
The amnesty discussion, if we could.
Yes.
put that on hold.
yes. So at the end of the day, my job is the easiest here tonight. Because all that I need to do is come in here and present you the evidence and what we have done. The decision, or the hard decision, is for you guys, because you are here for your constituents, you are here to do well for the city. We are presenting.
I'm going to interrupt you for the sake of just brevity. The first question was, have we had any complaints?
Yes.
Okay, you can provide evidence. Maybe not tonight, but you have it on file. Is it available on file?
Yes, and we can provide how we got there, we need to protect the other people that, you know, because they might be neighbors.
Sure.
So,
But there's a way to reject it. And then the second question, I'm sorry, Councilor Davis, it just escaped me. You had a second question. What was it?
It was regarding the dollar amount for the
Oh,
investment.
yes, the economic impact, the investment, the economic investment.
yes, the economic impact for us, if I was to, I don't know.
I would present any sort of opinions you either have or you know.
I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, really fast, I would like to see in the future, because this is about the second time picture, that there's information presented and no evidence can be presented. It's stated that there's people or whomever complained, but there's no evidence of that. So do not please go up with that without the evidence. That's, at least to me, I'm gonna take it as there's no evidence.
We don't evaluate, structures because that's why we don't have an answer for you. And the other one is to protect other people when they're complaining. But if that's a request, we can bring it forward.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Victor.
Any other questions for the council? All right, seeing no further questions by the council, at this time, if anybody from the public wishes to address the council, you have the opportunity to do so. There's 3 minutes per speaker on this item.
I just have a quick question on this. These carports,
I can have you state your name for the.
Jose Saldaña for the record, my understanding on these carports or whatever, they are not a permanent structure. So, what are the statutes?
As opposed to, tell the truth and the penalty of perjury.
I'll just say the truth.
I just.
So my understanding is that that's not considered a permanent structure.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council.
That's all I'm just.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Just want to make sure that from a definition standpoint, that you are aware that structure is any vertical facility that is permanently anchored to a foundation. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else in the public wish to address the council? Yes, ma'am. Bueno. Sorry. Si puede empezar con su nombre y después si promete decir la verdad. No, I no sé. I'm escuchado the truth and the penalty of perjury.
My name is Alejandra Hernandez, and yes, I do.
Perfect, thank you.
I have a letter. Dear members of the council, good evening. My name is Alejandra Hernandez, and Araceli Guerrero is my mother. My mother has had her home child care center up and running since I was a child. She has never been negligent or had any kind of complaints or incidents at her daycare. She's a good and caring child care provider, and I know this because my own children attend her daycare, and they have since they were babies. I remember when my mother mentioned that she would be putting up these shades and how happy I was for her because I knew she had been looking for a way to relieve our children of the excruciating New Mexico heat, especially in the summer. My own babies benefit from these shades. The last meeting that I was in that was being held in the Southern Park City Hall, Mr. Hector Rangel mentioned something about my mother and her business license, and that scared me deeply. And it disappointed me that my mother's small business and way of living has become such an enormous target. I am here to plead not only for my mother, but also for my children, for you to work with my mother and give her this permission to keep her already certified shades and let her continue working in the city of Sunland Park, not only for my children, but also for yours. Thank you.
Anybody else in the public wish to address the council at this time? Seeing and hearing none, the public hearing portion of this item is now closed. Any further discussion by the council? Hearing no further discussion, let me have a roll call vote on the matter, please.
Councilor Felix Sandoval. Aye. Councilor Armando Mata.
Aye.
Councilor Berta Salmon. Councilor Berta Salmon. Councilor Alberto García.
Aye.
Councilor María Luciana.
Aye.
Councilor Raúl Tellez.
Aye.
Councilor Berta Salmon, can you hear me?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 11, excuse me, item number 10 has been approved with conditions as stated in the packet. From here, we go on to item number 11, approval of the award of the Palace Again Flood Control Construction Project.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. We're very glad to bring before you today the award recommendation for the federal flood control project. Next slide. Give you a little bit of history. Since the creation of Earth, this has been an existing issue. And I don't say it in any way, shape, or form to bring some humor into the discussion, but it's a reality. This is approximately a 33 square mile watershed that the large share of the watershed begins in an upland. Historically, there's been issues. We're on the Mexican side, and we have that documented. It'll rain. The surface runoff will get into the sewer system amongst the Mexican utility. That sewer system will get pressurized, and we literally have drone video where sewer manhole will be bubbling with sewer that then combines with the surface flow, and it's what we call combined sewer overflow. That water ends up in the Rio Grande, and our drinking source. This illustration here is showing the location. You can see the international boundary. You can see the share of the watershed to the south on the Mexican side, and then the contributing share of that watershed on the US side. Next slide. The project scope in and of itself falls within the shaded red area there. It's a large diameter underground storm drain system, two-pipe system that will convey the flows, the 100-year design flow. We have an upstream intake structure that is situated along an upper road. And that water is conveyed into McNutt. There's an existing head wall structure in McNutt that we coordinated as part of the design and permitted with the NMDOT to be able to tie into that. What we call hose, those pipes that are underneath the 273. Then that water is safely conveyed over into an arroyo on the north side of 273 and ultimately out falls into the river. As part of the design process, we needed to acquire 2 parcels of property. We're happy to announce that that acquisition was fully closed on Friday of last week, and so we now own the 2 parcels that are needed to construct the project. Next slide. This is a June 5th, 2025 letter showing the Water Trust Board, and they call it the Water Project Fund. 619, $3.5 million that was awarded. The $350,000 match for a total of $3.85 million that's been budgeted for the project. That does come with a 10% loan as well. That's just part of the program. We don't have a choice. We have to take it. So quick facts. Again, as I indicated, we acquired the property. We got a full executed funding agreement last year in December. And we're looking to break ground here in March. Next. So as part of the bid process, there's some important decisions as we're looking at evaluating the award recommendation. But before I show you the number of bids that we received and the prices that came in, I want to draw your attention to what the statute says. The legislator within the procurement code has 2 very important requirements. One is a veteran preference for veteran businesses because we want to encourage that in units. The other is resident preference of 8%. And that's important. And I believe very strongly in that statute. The reason for the 8% preference for in-state contractors is because we're asking our legislator for funding. So this 3.85 billion is local money, right? From the city here and its residents, but it's also state money. And so it makes sense that those dollars should stay here in the state and fund jobs in New Mexico, right? We want to make sure that those dollars are circulated within the state. The 8% preference application that is assigned during the bid evaluation, what that really says is that if contractor A submits a bid for $100 and contractor B submits a bid for $110, right? A is not from New Mexico and B is. So you take 10% of the 110. And that number is what you compare for award purposes only. To the apparent bidder. For award purposes only, that is not a discount price. It is only a comparative. It's a quantitative comparative analysis, again, to comply with the intent of the law to keep New Mexico dollars. Contract documents. I just spoke about the statute, now I'm talking about the contract documents. The contract documents also give provision under Article 3 qualifications of bidders and under Article 18 evaluation of bids. Did reach out and got confirmation. What would have been the apparent low bidder, what we call responsible and responsive, is not the one that's going to be recommended tonight. And that is because we have confirmation, written confirmation, that who would have been the apparent low bidder, Spartan Construction, is currently in claim litigation with both Louisiana Mutual Domestic and Louisiana County. And so under the bid documents, that is, that we cannot award to Spartan Construction. That's our recommendation. Next slide. This is showing a tabular analysis of the bidders. On the far left is a bidder. You have Delmar Contracting, Spartan Construction, Highland Enterprises, 9 Degrees Construction, Constructors Inc., Crosstown Construction, Meridian Contracting, Moral Enterprises. On the far right is what we call the base bid and added voucher. The important item here is the dollar amount. Delmar Construction came in at $2,425,754.50. Spartan Construction came in at $2,521,672.37. Taking the law of the 8% preference and applying it to the 2.5 million would have made Spartan the apparent low bidder. However, because of the existing claims litigation that is ongoing, we are recommending that the contract be awarded to Delmar Contracting in the amount of $2,425,754.50. Next slide. That concludes my presentation. We have to answer any questions.
At this moment, I would entertain a motion to approve as recommended. Motion to approve is recommended. I have a motion on the floor by Councilor Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion now for second by Councilor Sierra. Discussion by the council.
On this one, Mr. Infante, that presentation you gave, not today, but the previous one where you had committee members seeing seeing their faces light up. It's making a significant impact for a long review process for that area. The one question that I did have, I don't think I asked you while we were out there, but that black water, what's the process to either sanitize or remove? It's a makeshift ponding area, from what I understand. The whole.
Yes, yeah. So there's further work to be done. Right now, what we have is we have a water quality structure as part of this design. It's what we call the upstream intake structure. It'll collect the flows. An upper road is being designed in a sump, if you will. And that sump is right where an upper road and Riverview Court and Carlos Aguirre Court come in. That's where that sag in the road will be. And the road is designed what we call a super elevation back towards the border. It's facing Maple. It creates what we call a basin boundary, cuts off the flows, goes into this water quality structure. It'll remove sediments, it'll remove floatables. It doesn't do a great job in long-term removal of E. coli, right, which is an animal feces. It doesn't do a great job in addressing hydrocarbon constituents. Because for that, we need to introduce what we call detention. It's an environmental science of delaying those constituents and actually settling out. That is a bigger project in the future, one that we're going to continue to pursue, which will be a long-term binational project. So thank you for asking. We're looking anywhere from 10 to 20 years. These projects just do not get, they don't get done over time. But it does need to continue. I hope I answered your question, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from council? Seeing and hearing none, can we have a roll call vote on the matter, please?
Councilor Luis Sandoval. Aye. Councilor Armando Mata.
Aye.
Councilor Roberta Salmon. Councilor Roberta Salmon. Councilor Roberto Jaramillo.
Aye.
Councilor María Luciana. Councilor Raúl Tellez.
Aye.
Councilor Roberta Salmon, can you hear me?
Councilor Salmon, last call. All right. Have Councilor Salmon present for that vote. Motion carries. Item has been approved. Item number, well, city manager's report.
Mayor, members of the council, go ahead. Right adjacent to the watershed I just showed you, there's another project that's coming down. I know we had a community meeting with Councilor Griselda, Mayor Pro Tem Diaz was present. I think Mayor joined us early on. He may or may not have heard of it. We'll talk a little bit about this emergency assistance funds that we were able to acquire. It's a one-time opportunity, and the city was blessed to be able to capture that. We'll give you an update on where we are with the crew building, the urgent care data. I heard earlier, Mayor said, you know, I'm a data guy, so I'm going to have our communications coordinator come up here and show some of the great work that she's done, some of the data she's collected. And then just to touch a little bit on the solid waste cleanup events last year and some of the things that are coming up this year. Next slide. Next. The City of Sunland Park, in fact, today, that's why the letter is dated February 3rd. We just submitted our, what we call our RDP, our readiness to proceed, to be able to acquire $2.5 million. They're going to be invested in the watershed, right, contiguous and directly east of the Carlos Aguirre area. So we're going to put in some infrastructure to start mitigating that flooding. I'll have an aerial here that shows it. It's focused again on full roadway reconstruction and drainage improvements. It's a one-time funding opportunity. It's a 100% grant. I don't know if this will come up again. This, you know, during the last 2 or 3 years, the state of New Mexico has been very, very fortunate economically and has had an abundance of revenues, record-setting revenues. And so because the monies were available, this one-time opportunity came up. Next slide. This is the focus area, just to orient you a little bit. You see that horizontal curve on the right corner, that is the railroad, UP. That's going in through there. Mount Cristo Rey is at the very corner of that slide to the right. You can see the Anapra tank there to the far right. Over to my bottom left corner, you see Arvino's Desert Crossing. You can see an upper road as we start moving towards the upper left-hand corner, and then you can see McNutt near the upper left edge of the area. The 3 streets that will be benefiting with flood control improvements are identified there. And so this 2.5 million is inclusive of design and construction. So I don't anticipate we're going to have construction on this project until next calendar year. Just so that you're aware, if you're residents and constituents are asking. Next slide. Next. Giving you an update on what's happening with the Crew building. This particular facility, as you know, is located near the guitar, what we're calling the guitar one-stop shop, or excuse me, social complex. It's site work's been ongoing. You can see that the EFIS system installation is ongoing. We have also the EFIS system, you know, it's the exterior skin, if you will, of the building. All the electrical and mechanical rough-ins are in the next couple of weeks. They're coordinating utilities. One of those big ones, the utility coordinations is El Paso Electric and bringing in power, the transformer, to be able to energize the facility. I went out there today and they're doing quite a bit of now getting what we call fleet upgrading, so you can actually start to see how the site facility is going to really start looking. So just if you get an opportunity, you might want to just drive by there and check it out. Next slide. That's the aerial view of the Crew building. It's approximately 8,000 square feet. Crew will occupy approximately 3,000 square feet. Next. Next. The urgent care, happy to show more progress towards the development of the urgent care. We just had a 30% design review about a week and a half ago. We turned in those comments to the design professional. This is one of the illustrations, sheet C 101 of the infrastructure improvements. What's important to see here is the rectangular building to the left, and that would be the urgent care facility. You see a couple of straight lines and a diagonal leg there. That is a proposed storm drain. So if you've had an opportunity to go out to the site, you're going to see that there is a huge outlay. We're going to mitigate that. So we do have $1.8 million, a combination of $1 million in federal dollars and 800,000 city match to be able to begin the site work development phase. In addition to that, we did submit $4.8 million late last year as part of this legislative session. It's a funding program going to CPF that is new. It's only in its second year existence. It is a recurring fund, and there's big focus from the governor's office in a few areas, one of those being medical, and we're confident that we have been far ahead of the planning. That fingers crossed we'll get the funding. That would allow us to start building the actual facility itself. Next slide. All right, I'm going to ask our communication coordinator. There she is.
Hello, good evening, council. Are your guys' eyeballs hurting as well? Because mine are. We've been doing it. But yeah, today we're going to talk about our customer service survey. This is a survey that we launched in January of this year. And we're going to go through some of our findings. So the reason that we conducted a customer service survey is to get a better understanding of where we lie with our public facing departments currently. This isn't necessarily to single out a certain department or any individual. It's really to just kind of get a baseline of where we're at and where our standards can improve and really just see where our standards are. Next slide. So we're going to go over the hard data right now. I do have actual surveys that we can get into in person at a later time if you'd like, but these are the surveys that we got participation in. So the motor vehicle department got the most participation. Then we got Crew after that, and then we got our library following with City Hall and the Senior Center. Out of all of those that were surveyed, we scored in the high 4.8s, which is a great thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're perfect and on the up and up. There were some negative reviews there as well, which is always something that we're going to account for. But like I said, the good thing is we're understanding, where our gaps are in with this survey. Next slide, please. So some things that some people did like across the board were our staff was professional, very courteous in interactions with our customers based on our feedback. Our staff had a willingness to assist and answer questions. There were clear explanations when processes were understood. And they did have some positive experiences linked to patience and follow through. Next. Some things that our customers did not necessarily like, or some negative feedback, was they had difficulty reaching the right contact for follow-up. There were perceived delays in response or solution, and there are occasional communication or language barriers. So these are all things that we're understanding the data for, and we will find out how to, handle them as we get the data. Next. So based on these things, our administration and leadership is going to be reviewing our internal customer service practices across all departments. We will be reinforcing expectations for communication and follow through. I think the follow through is a very important part. We will be identifying opportunities to improve consistency and clarity as well. And then we're also going to be using this feedback as a baseline for future improvements and efforts. So earlier today, we got to take a look at the IBRA form. These are one of the many ways that we're looking to expand and provide better services and streamline, these services for our residents. But that's all I have for you today. Are we doing questions?
Yeah, if you guys have questions for me, please do.
So you're gonna answer all the questions for the city manager?
Yes.
A question on this, what's the method of collecting the service or administration and collection of the service?
We have two different methods right now. We're doing in-person surveys where we have a booth set up at different departments where after the experience with the public facing employee, the customer will go to the table and then will request it. There is no actual interference when it comes down to us working with the people that we're surveying, because we don't want to influence the responses.
Right.
We're there in support to help them navigate the actual survey online, but we're not there to influence their answers. Another thing is we do have QR codes that are across all public facing departments right now. It's very easy to access. You can scan and fill it out online. It's a very straightforward 5-minute survey. So we try to make it as accessible as possible. And as we continue to expand our efforts in the communications department, we will be expanding our reach in those surveys as well.
One thing I would love to see eventually is, I know when I go purchase something or go somewhere, the next day I'll get an email, hey, we want to hear a little bit more about your visit. Can you tell us 5 questions? And I think that would paint a true picture of, because you go to Google reviews and
Oh, yeah.
it's when people are angry that people go up there and put actual reviews. But I think that would give us some insight about, when they actually do an interaction with the city, but how it was, and then reduce the employee burden as well. But just something to consider for IT.
That one's gonna fall back on us, so I'm pretty confident saying we can figure something similar to that out.
Any other questions from the council?
Gonna say, I was thinking that you were gonna mention add a tip on there. But no, but definitely no, pleased that survey went out. Customer service is paramount to anybody's experience. And I think, we've got departments that are that are generating revenue. I think those are the ones that are key to keep those customers happy. It's gonna keep me away from dumping money either in a private facility or in another municipality. But I think, you guys are the face that the constituency right off the bat. Not saying that you bend over backwards, but a lot of stuff that's in existence right now does bend over backwards. They go above and beyond at times. So definitely pleased to be a part of this team right here and to continue that forward progress. Good job with the server. Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said, I do have the data. I have several surveys that we can, go over and get a good understanding of how we got the responses that I presented to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin. And a couple more items, just to give you a little bit of update on the solid waste cleanup events. Next slide. So over on the right-hand side, you've got some dates that are identified there. Can't quite see that very tough one because of the stuff sharing that's covering up, but we've had 1, 2, 3 events last year in March, June, and September. You can see the, again, mayor wanting data. Pretty soon, everybody.
I like this. I was looking at this.
Yeah, you guys are. That's okay, you're raising the bar on me. 34.112 tons of trash in the first event. In June, 21.94 tons of trash. September, quite the jump, right? 41.92. This is an event that really was brought forth by one of our community members that she's here tonight, Ms. Pito. And to be quite candid with her at that time, man, she says, hey, we got to clean up this, got to do some things to clean it up. I said, I would love to clean it up. I really would. I said, but man, we have capacity challenges, right? And that's across the board. That's not, we have it in every department. But I appreciate her. I appreciate Gadsden Schools. Gadsden Schools has been an incredible partner, man. We get a ton of kids helping us. I appreciate our staff. Mr. Alkid and Mr. Soto are, leading that, providing our team at the facilities. That as we learned, what we started to do at each event is I was having our volunteer say, hey, I need you to create a checklist. I want you to, we should be getting better every time, right? As we host more events, we start to troubleshoot and tweak, like we talked about some other topics tonight. And so that we continue to do that. This year, we've got our next event coming up, third week in February. I don't have it up here, but I'll send you guys and remind you tonight. I think it's like the 22nd, 23rd. Our PD, that's another lesson we learned, our PD. One of the, this is a primary facility for collecting solid waste. We've also set it up over at City Hall. One of the challenges that we have, especially with the construction that's going on right now, we have a lot of collective commercial traffic. So just learning from that, having PD just park a car unmanned with sirens on made a big difference in having people slow down. And that becomes important when you're trying to access either right turn movements or left turn movements in and out of this facility, right? And so a lot of hands on deck during these events takes a lot of coordination, takes a lot of folks. And again, without really the volunteers. And by the way, we do give the schools a stipend. They are a partner, but we couldn't afford that kind of capacity. It's so important to us. And then some of the metrics, this information on the IT and comms regarding solid waste was actually put together from our coordinator. And so she's just really doing a wonderful job looking at what, soliciting public feedback, what, how it's working, are people connecting, are people becoming informed, are they aware these events are coming up? All important. So that's our solid waste event. Again, I thank all of our volunteers. Thank you guys. I think most of you guys last year had an opportunity to participate. If you have time this year, try to make one event. We'll get that information out to all of you guys as early as possible. We do provide food and drinks, as well as the city does provide, vests, trash bags, gloves, and we have been for the first time this year working with Keep New Mexico Beautiful. So I just want to make you aware of that, and we're going to continue to grow that program. Last thing I want to just share with you is I'm going to be bringing a more detailed update. Animal control continues to be a challenge. I've already sent an email to a couple of our team members, but I know River Court has been a particular issue with barking dogs. That's an ordinance we're going to be revisiting. In that particular place, if any of you want to take a ride along with me, I'll take you out there. That entire street has dogs in every property. When one dog barks, they all bark. They all do. But the one individual that's raised concern, their rights are being violated too, and I have to consider them, right? And so that's kind of a tough problem, it's not an academic problem, it's a real life problem, and I'm gonna have to figure out how we're gonna resolve it. And so I have some ideas, I'm meeting with the team, and I'm gonna be bringing more information for you. But I know that part of the solution long term is gonna be revisiting that ordinance, so. With that, I will be happy to answer any questions. Carla has a presentation, just send it to the council in case I want to reflect back on what felt.
Any questions for the council?
That monitor ordinance, you're gonna have, is there decimal readers that are in place right now and they're certified? That's gonna be your decimal piece of it.
Yeah, so great question. Residential areas of decibel threshold is 60. You cannot exceed 60, right? And then also when you read the ordinance, it tells you where you're gonna measure from, right? The problem is it doesn't consider duration, for example, right? Back to my point of, okay, well, if I walk in and one dog barks, it's like a domino effect, every other dog barks. And who can really define, is actually a noise nuisance, right? And so that's where I'm thinking we need to tighten up these ordinances, we need to define duration. And is there technology? That's the other question I had already with our own team is there some technology that's gonna help us be able to monitor this? So, other questions, Spencer?
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? All right, there's a report. 4 hours for that one. Yes, for any municipal day? Okay, so for those who are not municipal, it starts tomorrow, then ends Thursday. But they're gonna go over legislation that affects municipalities. The last time I was there, I got wind of a particular bill that they were trying to get introduced, the HB 122, which is a bill that was introduced specifically to try to limit annexation authority from the city of Sunland Park. That bill, right now, it's not, it doesn't have a message from the governor, but I'm keeping eyes on that one. That's a specific target to the city of Sunland Park. And we're trying to prevent that from happening. If it doesn't get a message today, I figure this is something that's gonna happen next year. And then the next year is a 6-day session and any legislation can be introduced. But I just want to let you know that the reason why I go to Santa Fe is to protect us from these type of situations where people are trying to be adverse against the city of Sunland Park. Did you guys get the legislative bulletin from the municipal league? So that one covers the legislation that we're covering and being that I'm part of the leadership of the municipal league, I'm involved in all those things. So as things happen and then if push comes to shove, then I might need your support in calling legislators to push and advocate for municipalities, depending on this bills and legislation that goes through. Other than that, we're doing well. Hopefully, we do all the capital outlay. We submitted a request for that, and we'll see where that goes. But I don't have much more. Thank you all for your time this evening. I do have 7:43 p.m. If there's no objection, we are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.